evaluation of my report. So, scale of measurement. There are 4 level of measurements that apply to the treatment of test data: the nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So, in nominal measurement, the number is used for labeling or identification purposes only. So, example of this is the student's identification number or section number. In data processing, instead of labeling gender, is as female or male. So, a code 1 is used to denote female and 2 denote for male. So, the purpose is to differentiate or categorize the subject by gender. Next is the ordinal label of measurements. Used when the values can be ranked in some order of characteristics. The numeric values used indicate the difference in the traits under consideration. So, the third one is the interval label of measurements. Properties of both nominal and ordinal scales is attained when the values can describe the magnitude of the differences between groups or when the intervals between the numbers are equal. So when we say equal interval, it means that the distance between the things represented by 3 and 4 is the same distance represented by 4 and 5. The ordinal label of measurements used when the values can be ranked in some order of characteristics. The numeric values used indicate the difference in the traits under consideration. The next one is the interval level of measurements. Properties of both nominal and ordinal scales is attained when the values can describe the magnitude of the differences between groups or when the intervals between the numbers are equal. So, equal interval means that the distance between the things represented by 3 and 4 is the same distance represented by 4 and 5. So, the next one is the ratio scale. So, ratio scale is the most highest level of measurements. It carries the nominal, ordinal, and interval scales. Its additional advantages is the presence of a true 0 point, where 0 indicates the total absence of the trait being measured. So, yung ratio scale daw po, ito yung highest level of measurements. Naki-carry out niya po yung nominal, ordinal, and interval scales. So, generally, the mean is the most used measure of the central tendency because it is appropriate for interval and ratio variables. Which higher level of measurements, its value affected by the change of a single score such that is regarded as the most used measure to represent a set of scores. So hence, the median is a better measure. It is the value that occupies the middle position among the ranked values. So, how to measure how central tendency determines Qness? So, ganito po yung diagram. Andito po yung mean, median, at saka yung mode. This figure is the mean, median, and mode in a positively skewed distribution. Ganito po yung positively skewed distribution ng mean, median, and mode. So, on the other hand, in a negatively skewed distribution, as shown in the graph below, the mode remains at the peak of the curve but will have the largest value. So the mean will have the smallest value as influenced by the extremely low scores, and the median still lies between the mode and the median. So this figure is the negatively skewed distribution. This is the figure. So what are measures of dispersion? So one important descriptive statistic in the area of assessment is the measures of dispersion, which indicates variability, spread, or scattered. So this figure, it is the measures of variability of sets of test scores. There are several indices of variability, and the most commonly used in the area of assessment are the following. So, ganito po yung figures na measures of dispersion. The next one is the range. So, range is the difference between the highest and the lowest scores in a distribution. So, it is the simplest measures of variability but also considered as the less accurate measure of dispersion. Why? Because its value is determined by just two scores in the group. It does not take into consideration the spread of all scores. Its value simply depends on the highest and the lowest scores. Its value could be drastically changed by a single value. So consider the following examples. So, ganito po yung formula niya is range equals to highest score minus lowest score. So, yung mapapansin po natin na yung highest score dito is yung 20 and the lowest score is the 9. So, the highest score minus the lowest score. So, 20 minus 9 equals 11. Yun po yung pagkuha ng